Well, hello, good morning or good afternoon. Now then, if you haven't won the 1.5 billion in the States, then you are going to wonder how you're going to save money. I have two-stroke machines here in front of me. This is a Husqvarna and this is a still. We're going to work on the still. This aspect is working perfectly because I've already done a job on that. But let's have a look at this. Okay, there are three problems we're going to have a look at. There's the fuel, ignition and the exhaust. Right, the first thing I'm going to do then is take off this. I've already loosened the screws, so hopefully it'll slip off easily. Famous last words. Okay, there we go. Often, by the way, and I forgot, to take off the casings on many of these machines you have to take out the spark plug. I've done that before I put on the video, so there we are. Now, there are spark plugs like this, and then there's one with a slightly longer barrel. Most of these two-strokes, in fact I think they all probably take the one with the shorter barrel, so if you're ever replacing your spark plug, take the old one down with you to the shop. Right, so now as I have this in my hand, I'm going to show you something. It's probably better really in the long run just to replace these. They're very cheap, the spark plugs. But if you can't, it's a Sunday, you can't get to the shops, you can do a simple cleaning job on them. If you have a blowtorch, of course, you could use that and just clean it by burning off the residues there, but if you haven't, it doesn't matter. You can use a tiny piece of emery paper and just go in around the top there and clean off all the black stuff, or if you have some nice soft wire wool, you can do that as well. Now try and avoid damaging either the little ceramic core, you shouldn't actually, but anyway, or if you drop it, be careful that you don't damage the gap. Right. Now one way of testing it, by the way, is to put it back into the top of the connection, put it up to some metal and pull this, and you'll see a spark jump from there to there. Now this one works fine, so it's okay. So the next thing we're going to look at then is the fuel. There are two little tubes that connect up the fuel tank to the carburetor. They're two little plastic tubes. Now sometimes they can get, over a period of time, they can become baked or snarled or they start to leak. They're easy to replace, they're cheap, and again you'll get that down in your local shop. Right, I'm going to pull the cap off this fuel thing. Now inside, connected to one of these tubes is a little filter that of course cleans the petrol going into your carburetor. Now there's two ways of getting the end of this tube out. One is with a little long nose pliers like this, but I have a little piece of wire and I've bent the end of it, and I'm going to fish in here and pull up this, it's handy. Okay, there it is, can you see it there? Alright, this is a little sponge type of filter thing. Now if it's filthy dirty, it shouldn't be, but if it is, they're easy to replace. And you just pull them off the end of the tube, and it doesn't matter about the make. The make is unimportant. They're all the same and they all fit onto the same tube. Now this particular one is clean, so it's okay. So I'm going to put that back in there, put the cap on. Okay, the last thing we're going to look at is the exhaust. Now this is a thing that people forget about. I know in the States you call it a muffler. Anyway, this is the exhaust here. And you could be working all day on your spark plug and your fuel supply. Your machine will never work if it doesn't breathe. And like as if you were drinking a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, while you're doing that you either hold your breath or you breathe through your nose. Okay, for this purpose we're breathing through our nose. Now, looking at this machine here, I can see a small little filter thing. I just take off the screw there and I pull out that, and that keeps your muffler exhaust system clean. Now you can see that there. Now if that is all blocked up, this machine is never going to work. You can clean that with a piece of wire wool, or better still, a wire brush. Put it back in there. And that's it. So there's three things: the fuel supply, the ignition, but most important of all is the exhaust. and people often forget about the exhaust. And talking about forgetting things, I have to go back out to the garden. So I hope you've learned something from that, and perhaps we'll see each other again. Tatty bye!